mic.
Perhaps it's working. That wasn't working a minute ago.
Can anyone hear me in chat?
I can hear sound, Beata said.
Oh, there we go.
I hear something.
Hey, you apparently fixed it.
Hurrah for Tim.
Walking down the stairs fixed it. There we go.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much, darling.
I'll charge you the bill.
Okay, that's all right. I'll just deduct it from the rent arrears. All right. There we go. It seems like it's been fixed. Yes, sound, that's great. It disappeared on its own, and Tim says it came back on its own. At the moment, I'm just waiting for the picture to reappear. I'm hoping that is a lag on the camera, not that the camera is no longer working. So we're looking for picture now, which can hear the sound, but no image, no picture. This is turning into a crazy, crazy time. Oh boy. Right. Okay. Yeah, they're taking the paper off, but the picture's not coming back. Tim! Yes, I've removed the paper. And for some reason, the camera isn't working. Oh, this is not my best night. Tim! Tim, dearest! Can anybody hear me? Yeah, I wonder. People can hear the sound, but the vision seems to have frozen because we've got, when I take that away, we still got that.
Yeah. Let's see.
So I'm wondering if it's frozen the image.
No, that's not live. Wait. No, I thought maybe it was that.
Well, he hasn't switched onto that camera, is it, by mistake?
Might have. You never know. There we go.
There we go. We're going to get there. Hey, there we go. Everything's falling down yet. Things are getting dropped. Tim is tripping over all of my junk here in the studio. I tell you what, this studio is starting to look like my shed, but I'm hoping we now have sound and picture. Hey, there you go. Yeah, Mike, I thought they had done a runner. I thought that perhaps everybody had gone and left me for a moment there. There we go. We got there in the end. I put the cover, I always put the paper over the camera because Tim is camera shy, so he came down to fix it. When I took the cover off, it just stayed exactly the same. It just had this frozen image of the paper, which was not a good look. Not when you try to do a live show. So I thank you all for staying with us through that bit of a blip, shall we say. But we have survived, and I will have to make sure that tech support Tim gets a nice Easter egg when Easter comes as a thank you, because you've saved the day yet again. I can use this as long as it doesn't go wrong. As soon as it goes wrong, I've had it. Well, to go back to everything I said while it was all on silent, and you've seen me going, it's great to see you all. It's good to be back with you, and I hope we have a great evening together. And I was mentioning that in the chat, prior to it turning to the fact that we had no sound and we had no vision, etc., there was talk of seasons and spring and ice thawing in different parts of the world, and just made mention at the beginning, and I will try and remember to do so later on as well. For those who are resident in the UK, I don't know who else it affects tonight, but I know within the UK we will be moving our clocks forward tonight in order to resume British summertime. So the clocks go forward. So if you're going to bed at 11 o'clock tonight, you will end up going to bed at midnight. So there we go. We all lose an hour this evening. But just thought I'd mention that before we get started. And let's have a look here now. It's wind back up because I need to tell you who got in first, which was a long time ago now. If we get through the questions tonight, it'll be a miracle. Oh, what a lot of chat. Way up to the top, up to the top. Still going, folks. You have been busy tonight. And top of the tree, number 1, first arrival of the evening, Lexi B. Now, am I correct, Lexi? Did you say yesterday that it is your birthday today? Please confirm that in the chat at the bottom for me, because if it is, how wonderful for you to be first in and with us all tonight. And I'm sure everybody out there will be wishing you a very happy birthday. And I trust you've had a great day, if I got that right. Because I'm sure I seen something in the chat, an exchange between you and Rufus over disappearing Valentine cards and where's my birthday card. Anyway, after Lexi, who I'm assuming may be our birthday girl this evening, we go to Bonnie Tyler fan 34. And then it's a boy from Cardiff with a spanner, Mr. Ed Creative. So there we go, Lexi, Bonnie, Tyler, Van and Ed. First 3 in tonight. And lots of chatting going on. Mine says concurrent 30 viewers, and there's certainly a lot of chat. Ed says, I'm not losing an hour. I am going to leave my clocks where they are. Do you know what? We lived at a house on one occasion, and we had a clock in the front room. And it was one of them houses where we rarely went in the front room because we had a front room, a living room, and we had a kitchen. So we spent all our time in the living room nearest the kitchen. So the clock actually stayed an hour wrong until 6 months later when it was right again. So there we go. And, there we go. And it's Lisa's birthday on April the 2nd. So that's not far away either. So there we go. There we go. And yeah, Lexi's birthday today. Lisa's on April the 2nd. Well, that's brilliant. That's great. And I tell you what, seems it's your birthday, Lex, and there's no one here to stop me. I shall sing happy birthday to you. And before I start, please, everybody, wherever you are, join in. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lexi. Happy birthday to you. And to Lisa for the 2nd. There we go. There's the happy birthdays done. And I hope you have had a great day. And it's so lovely to see you with us tonight, Lex. You are one of the original gang, as so many of you are. So you've been with us virtually from the beginning, I think. And it's always good to see you all. And it's lovely to see all the lovely greetings going up now. Well, we've got a lot to get through, and we lost a few minutes at the beginning. King Charles has apparently given royal status to the port of Barrow for its 150 plus years of building subs and ships. The town of Barrow will get royal favour. Ooh. Well, if that's the case, I think we'll start with a royal question. That's if I can find my little jingle. It's definitely on here somewhere. Right then, a royal question in honour of one of our great supporters, Rachel Bailey, who is now living in the royal favoured town of Barrow. Okay, here we go. I found a mug on the dump, And there were a few guesses in the chat last night as to which royal was on the mug. It was one of these three. Which do you think it was? Do you think it was A, Prince Philip, B, King Edward VIII, or C, King George VI? Go. Okay, so you've got Prince Philip. He was married to Queen Elizabeth II. You've got King Edward VIII. He's the king that never had a coronation because he abdicated 6 months before his coronation was due to take place in May 1937. And you've got King George VI, his brother, who then did have a coronation and became king because the elder brother had abdicated and given up his throne over the whole issue with marrying a lady that the government felt he shouldn't. So there you have it. So do you think it was Prince Philip? That's A, the Queen's husband. Do you think it was the king who was king for 326 days, I believe, but never had a coronation? That's B. That would be Edward the 8th. Or do you think it's King George the 6th, who was the Queen's father? Right, well, we've had lots of answers coming in while I was running through that. So let's have a look. Who thinks what? Right then. Ooh, that's interesting. So we've got... Oh, yes. I thought for a moment then that we only had 2 correct answers, but we have 3 correct answers, which is good because we have 3 podiums. And I can tell you that the first podium, the gold podium, by a whisker, was taken by Mr. Ed Creative, the man who doesn't bother to put the clock back but wait 6 months for the rest of the world to catch up with him. Because he said Edward, and it was Edward VIII. Now this is really interesting because I'll show you in a moment why that is a very peculiar mug. So right next to Edward, we have Rachel Bailey, and I had a sneaky feeling that Rachel may have got this right, because I believe it was Rachel who in the comments yesterday said she thought it was Edward VIII. And then we go down, 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 and just last but one answer on the list, so folks, it's always worth coming in late, was Jason. Because Jason said B, while Anne said A, so guess what? B wins it, and we have our 3 winners. So gold podium goes to Ed, silver podium goes to Rachel, and the bronze goes to the last but one answer on the list from Jason. So well done, you 3. Now, the reason that so many may have got that wrong is because, as I said, there was no coronation. Yet, on there, as you can see, it'll say coronation, May the 12th, 1937, and there he is. And at the bottom you can see it quite clearly says Edward VIII. The reason this cup exists is because while there was no coronation, as he abdicated in 1936, he was made king, because you become king at the immediate moment that the previous king passes away. They say, the king is dead, long live the king. Or in the case of Queen Elizabeth II, the king is dead, long live the queen. So you assume the role and responsibility immediately. But then there is the coronation, which takes a lot of planning. Because if there's one thing we like to do in this country is pomp and ceremony. And there's nothing like a coronation for pomp and ceremony. So they planned it all for May the 12th. But he gave up his role as king and quit in the December. So from January to December, he was king, but he was not king on May the 12th. He'd abdicated 6 months before. All these cups and mugs are only in existence because the companies were getting geared up. They knew they'd need millions of the things, so they'd already started making them. And people were buying them. And of course, people then bought them and held on to them because they saw it as a collectible item because it is the coronation that never took place. And I've got to be honest, for something that's been in that dump, and from the things it's alongside, it's got to have spent at least 50 years in that dump. That's not bad nick. That image on there is quite a clear and distinct image of the king. So there we go, folks. That's the story behind that piece. There we are. Well, I hope you're keeping well, everyone. I hope that the 4 weeks we've been away have treated you all good. George VI had darker hair than his brother, Rachel said. There we go. That's the way you spotted him. Yeah, it was you. Yep, I thought it might have been. There we go. And people offering congratulations, not only to Rachel for taking the gold podium, but also to Barrow for finding favour with the Royals. You know, Royals have their place. They come in handy sometimes. They don't have the power they once had, but they certainly have a lot of influence, and they can bring an awful lot of positive vibes to areas of the country, and I hope it does that for Barrow. I really do. But as I was saying, lots of time. We've been away for 4 weeks since the last video, and I hope everybody's been keeping well, and I hope the weather is improving for others as it is for us. We've had some of the warmest days of the year. It's risen to 19 degrees, which by summer temperatures isn't boiling, but by spring temperatures is off the chart. So, but it's been a bit mixed. It suddenly, in case we're getting too used to it, it'll throw in some cold, windy, wet weather, and then we're back to glorious sunshine. But I believe we've got some glorious sunshine coming in the coming week. I believe we've got 4 days from Tuesday through until Saturday where it's sunshine, sunshine, sunshine every day according to the BBC weather forecast. Now, to show you a couple of other finds that we picked up on this one, I cleaned this up to bring in to show everyone because that is a very nice piece of blue glass. It's got that sort of top to it, so I think it was holding some form of perfume or some sort of thing like that with a screw down top, and it would have pressed against there. But as you can see, quite a narrow piece of blue glass, but in very good nick and quite clear. I can see it better than you because obviously for the purpose of filming we have to have the special bulbs facing this way, which means I see just how clear the glass is, whereas you see the smudges. But there we go. That was the blue bottle. And then we've got this stopper that Caroline found. Now this is a hollow stopper, and as you'll see when I tip it up, it's got water in it. Now I've tried to get the water out, but it doesn't want to come out. Excuse me a moment, I'm about to sneeze. Here we go. Try not to sneeze on camera, she says. Try not to sneeze on camera. So there we go. I've tried getting the water out. It doesn't want to come out, but you may recall on the video, because it was a cold day, that Caroline noticed this, but she said there is a block of ice in there. Well, obviously in our centrally heated home, there is no longer ice in there, but we do have water inside, because unlike some stoppers which are solid, this one was formed hollow. There is a slight chip there, and I think the water has seeped in over time. But while it's seeped in, I can't get it to seep back out again. But a very nice piece, and one that Caroline decided was worth bringing home with her. Now, another one that Caroline brought home with her was this. She decided that this could be thrown out if we didn't have the room for it at any point, but it did survive. And it's inside. Can you see there how the water is gathering? It had something oily in it, some form of oil or something inside, and it's got that hole in the top, and on there it's got a number 10, and it's flat on the bottom. Caroline wondered if it was one of those things off a gas pump, you know, that used to see the liquid running through it. I don't know, but it's been molded in two parts. You can see the line down there and the line down there. It's got that base to the bottom, a round base. Obviously we can't identify how the top would have looked because something has snapped off there, but it may have had a little neck on it and been a vessel or something. But it's got this number 10 here with like a square underneath it, so we hope to find out more about it. But I wanted just to bring it on to show it to you because Caroline did bring it home, and I've had problems today because cleaning some of these items, I ended up in the kitchen for 10 minutes trying to use kitchen cleaner to get the oil off my hands, because 50-year-old, 60-year-old oil is pretty congealed, and when it gets on you, it don't want to come off. So I've had a bit of fun with that. Especially when I'm dressed like this, cleaning my finds, because life is still as hectic as it has been. So although it is Saturday today, and I wouldn't normally work weekends, over the last couple of months that's gone out the window, and this afternoon I was out doing my job and visiting a family to organise a service for their loved one. Then I got home. 10 minutes later, we were on the road and going to our eldest for tea to see the two of our grandchildren. Then we got back, and I had just enough time to get things set up, and then 8:45 trying to get this up and ready so we could go on live. So I've been cleaning finds dressed like this, but with dressing gown on and done up like overalls to stop anything splashing on my yellow tie, which I like. So there we go. But yeah, life is busy, but we are doing well. Caroline is well, rushed off her feet and taken that with so many other things, but starting to try and get the occasional video out from her on her other channel, Home on the Hillside. But at the moment, Caroline hasn't been able to find the time to do the craft project she was doing. But one of the things Caroline loves is her sewing. Caroline used to be a knitter. She used to knit. She used to spin her own wool, make her own socks with wool. She'd spin all sorts. But then, of course, she developed an allergy to the wool, which limited her abilities. And then she's got into sewing, and she loves patchwork and things like that. So she's been sharing some of her creative ideas, things that she is doing as on her downtime, her relaxation time, rather than setting out time in the studio for hours doing the crafts. She's been just sharing some of that, and thank you everyone who's been watching that and has been giving positive comments. Yeah, maybe oil lamp, that was something Caroline thought when we were on the site. And also mystery orb, yeah, that's a good description of what we've got, because as I say, it's a weird looking thing. There we are. It's Linda saying, girl after my own heart. Yeah, well, I will sit for an hour and I will watch a comedy show on TV or something to unwind. Caroline cannot sit and do any one thing for an hour to unwind. To unwind, Caroline will watch, but she's also doing something else. And these days she's been doing her sewing, and she's been enjoying that. So hopefully you'll enjoy the fact that she's trying to share some of that, because she just wants to keep contact with all of her friends and all of the people that enjoy that side of things. Right, gotta watch the time. We'd better have another question. Are you ready for another question, folks? It'll be find related, so I'll get the logo up and then we'll have a little look. Okie dokie. We've picked up one or two of these in our time, but Caroline still loves them because of the script. She loves the way Boots is written on there. And of course, we've lost a fair few of the big names off the high street, the ones we're familiar with. We lost Woolworths some time ago, which is a place that has quite a resonance with most people from their childhood and youth, from the pick and mix to the Christmas adverts and the rest. And then we are currently going through the process of seeing all the W.H. Smith's stores closing down across the UK. And our store in Newport is now down to 50% off everything in the store, and will probably go to 75% before it shuts. But they're all going to be shut, and there won't be a W.H. Smith's on the high street. They're going to still operate in stations and airports, but not on the high street. But Boots is another one of those big names that has been there for a while. In fact, it was founded 176 years ago. So, and is on most major towns' high street, you'll find a Boots chemist. So, big company, big name, nice bottle, and as Caroline always says, lovely script. So here's your Boots question. As I say, Caroline loved the script on the bottle of a company that was founded 176 years ago by a gentleman called Mr. John Booth. He was a herbalist, and he opened a shop in order to provide medicines and cures for people that were less expensive and more competitive than was being provided by the doctors. And then that took off, and they developed and they brought in new products, and the rest, as they say, is history, and now they're everywhere. My question is, I know they are now right across the country, but in which English city did he open his first shop? That herbalist shop, did he open it in A, Norwich, B, Nottingham, or C, Newcastle? Go! Rightio. So I'll give you a clue. It begins with N. Righto. So we got Norwich is A, Nottingham is B, Newcastle is C. Which of those three do you think Mr. John Boot opened his very first shop that went on to become a chain that stretches now from one end of the country to the other, length and breadth of the nation? Where do you think it was? Do you think it was A, Norwich, B, Nottingham, C, Newcastle? Well, we've got all manner of answers coming in. We've got A's, B's and C's. So we're guaranteed to have at least one correct answer. And I'd say from the number of answers and the spread, we're going to have sufficient answers correct in order to award all three places. So let's have a look at where do we go in? Where do we start? Well, that's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, all then, folks. Well, the first 5 answers in were incorrect because they were A's and C's, and we were looking for B, Nottingham. Nottingham, that's all we were looking for. And then, after having 5 incorrect answers, we had 3 correct answers in a row. So, top of the tree, once again, is Rachel Bailey. She's taken the gold podium this time. Back on a podium and gold. Then, immediately after Rachel, was Tina Thompson, who takes the silver. And immediately after Tina was Ribble Finds and Crafts. So there we go. Steve takes the bronze. So we've got Rachel, Tina and Ribble Finds. You've got the 3 podium places. And there were a few other correct answers as well. I see Bonnie Tyler fan got it. Linda Peterson got it. Laura Sully's got it. And Rachel says Boots in Barrow is closed, sadly. Ah, there we go. But still having deliveries from another Boots. There we go, 45 minutes away. Yeah, I think an awful lot of places have seen rationalisation, and sadly in the UK at the moment we're seeing a lot more of it. A lot more places closing down. We've heard recently that our Morrison supermarkets are closing, I think around about 50 of their in-store restaurant cafes, but they're not closing hours. So obviously the people of our hometown do use the cafe because it must be profitable. But lots and lots of things. Did I? Hang on. Might well have done. Ooh, well spotted. Right, we're going to give Lexi a diamond post because she caught me out. I looked down looking for A's, B's and C's, and because of the way my brain works and I'm looking for something, that's what I see. And that's why I almost missed Ed earlier on. I thought there were only two correct answers because he'd written Edward, but actually Lexi put down Nottingham. Lexi, you're just showing off. I know you're the birthday girl, but fancy writing the word Nottingham when you could have gone with a B. But you're right. So having already awarded the gold, the silver and the bronze, rather than take one back, we're going to make a very special diamond podium just for you, the birthday girl, because you were at the top. And thank you, Mike, because you noticed and I wouldn't have done. So there we go. Oh, I tell you. It's all happening here tonight, isn't it? There we go. Oh, you're keeping your Morrisons as well. Yeah, because a couple of the smaller Morrisons are closing, they? There we go. Ah, no problem. I'm just glad we got it right, Lex. That's great. Right then, let's have a little bit of happy news. Here we go. I'm going to do some happy news, and hopefully I've got a little jingle to go with this too. Here we go. There's an awful lot of news around at the moment, some of which is very sad. I'm sure all of us give a thought for the poor people in the earthquake zone that has developed over the last 24 hours, where the numbers lost have already gone to 4 figures. That's very sad. There's also news that comes out which is very frustrating because we don't understand why people do the things they do. But there are good and positive things happening in the world too. And that's what we love to share here on this happy hour. And this comes under the title of A Basketball Shot Like None Other. With so many great plays in March Madness, there was a shot that carried multiple meanings as it sailed into the air and into the history books this season. It required persistence, resilience and faith. Bailey, who was born with a right arm too small to adequately use, let her left-handed shot fly from around the three-point line right into the basket. The Lesley University junior guard was cut from her high school team, yet there she now was, playing guard for the Cambridge, Massachusetts college team against Fitchburg State. This season when she rose up and took aim at history. Her shot flew through the air, sailed through the net, making her the first female basketball player with only one arm to score in a Division III game. Her coach quickly called timeout. When the shot went in, I thought, hey, we have to preserve this moment for as long as we possibly can, said Coach Martin Rather. That also allowed the team to come out and embrace her, which they did on the court, and gave us some seconds to reflect on the tremendous hard work and dedication it takes to get to that point. The entire team was filled with joy, Bailey said, mainly just because they had seen me overcome so many things throughout the season. She also added another chapter when she scored again on her birthday in a game 7 weeks later. And I thought that was such a lovely story. Not just the resilience and the determination of this young lady, who not only was disadvantaged to begin with because she only had a left arm that was usable in the sport because of something that had happened at birth, but she'd also been dropped from her high school team. They decided that she didn't make the grade, and they dropped her, I'm sure, with the hope of having somebody, as we would say, able-bodied, who could score more. Yet she still followed her dream. She still came back, and when she went to college, she then decided she was going to try again. And there she was, out there, playing for the university, and launches a shot with her left hand that scored on the day. And repeated that again some weeks later on her birthday. But that is amazing. That is such a story of determination, such a story of overcoming the odds and showing that you have resolve and that the reward came because of her determination. But also the way that the coach called time to give the whole team the opportunity not just to congratulate the young lady, but also to celebrate that goal that had been scored on behalf of their team. So I just felt that that story on so many levels brought out some of the best in people, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. So I hope you enjoyed that as well. Ed said, I couldn't make a basket if I had 4 arms. There we go. Sharon said I couldn't do it with 2. Yeah. Hello there, Rufus. Great to see you, buddy. Great to see you. Glad you could join us. So, as I say, there are so many positives going on all around the world. People making that extra effort. People there for one another. You know, there is so much good in the world. And sometimes we have to stop, just like that coach called time out, so they could stop and reflect for a moment and realize the power of what had just taken place. Perhaps we have to do that sometimes in life, is stop, take time out and look. You know, when I was a little and I used to go to chapel with my mum, and they used to sing a song, Count Your Blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. And you know, I'm a great believer in that. I'm a great believer in looking for the good everywhere. You know, as I will have told you more times than you can count, one of my favourite sayings, 2 men looked out through prison bars, one saw mud and the other saw stars. Sometimes the only thing you can do where you are is change the way you look. And if that's all we can do, then let's do it. Because the more positive we can be, the more good we can see, then the better it is. As I was going through the stories today, a story that I didn't pick up and bring with me was one about a research group that have studied, and they have found that people who are positive, helpful and kind, and believe that the people around them are kind too, have more joy than can be gained through simply wealth. That was a story that was released last week, and I thought, how wonderful. You know, there are some things that money can't buy, and I'm sure you couldn't put a price on the joy that that young lady had when that ball just fell into the net, and all of the rejection, all of the comments, all of the criticism fell away as all of her teammates gathered around and cheered and celebrated with her. I think that is what it's all about. Priceless. Okay, let's have a look at another find. Here's a find that Caroline didn't want to leave behind. She wasn't sure what to do, but she brought it with her. Have a look at that, folks. Isn't that a beaut? can you imagine if that is to sit atop of a vase of some kind, or a container? What a posh container that must have been. Absolutely beautiful. It's cleaned up quite well, and you can imagine that on some chemist's shelf with a big jar underneath with some big label on it and that lid on the top. That would be quite a grand job. As you know, it was broken, but what I've done is just done a quick repair tonight with a piece of sellotape so that I can show you how it is, because I couldn't put my hands on my Gorilla Glue, but I just put a piece of sellotape on just to give you the impact of what it looks like whole. So Caroline was very pleased with that. What on earth we're going to do with it, I don't know. But she liked it, and here it is. And here's another cute little item that we brought back with us, and that was the little yellow jug. Now, I'm going to let you into an editorial secret now. When I found this jug and showed it to Caroline, you would not believe what happened in the background. A certain gentleman who was with us that day wandered into shot in such a way that I couldn't edit him out. And I don't know how to do the clever things Caroline does, putting little Zorros and things on. So I had to expand the picture, and for 20 seconds I showed you the weeds from a previous visit so that I could keep the talk going without showing our great friend Tom, who prefers to remain anonymous. So we had a little bit of an editorial issue there that I had to sort out, but that's the little jug that we picked up. As is so often the case with jugs, cups and the rest, no handle. It was the same on this one. But we've got a teapot here. Remember Caroline wondered whether or not to bring the teapot? Well, she brought the teapot. And that does have its handle. Look at that. Isn't that a lovely square form there? Mirrored then in this lovely neck this side. And beautiful image on the front. If I can get it to pick up on there. I hope it comes out clearly for you. There's some flowers by a fence. But what's intriguing, and maybe someone out there can help me with this, because I cleaned these finds up just before the show, I didn't have time to check this out, but can you see the stamp on the bottom? It's a thumb and 4 fingers with the hand held so that the little finger and the next finger are separate from the other two. You see it there? Anybody, any idea what that's all about? What Maker's brand that is? Quite a distinctive mark, and I'm sure one that if I do some research I'll be able to find out a little bit more about the company. But Caroline wasn't sure whether to bring it or not. She decided to go for it. She was breaking all her own rules this time with regards to bringing this, but in fairness, as you could tell by the size of my hand, a very neat little pot. I think that would be a single cup. Or if it was 2 cups, they'd be 2 small cups. There we go. Star Trek. Yeah, that did come to mind. Yeah, the Star Trek salute. Could well be. Vulcan salute from Star Trek. Okay, so are we saying that this is a Mr. Spock teapot? Are we saying that? Is that the claim we've got? Okie doke. Well, folks, I'm going to show you another find, but before I do, let's have a little jingle, because this find will introduce another question. Yeah, quite a lot of people going with the Dr. Spock theory. So who knows, perhaps we have got a teapot that was made from Dr. Spock himself. Okay, we found quite a few bottles on this occasion. We didn't bring them all back, but I did bring this one. And last time I was here, I showed you this one, we found quite a few bottles that had their vulcanized stoppers in. Now on this occasion, the stopper did not match the bottle. Because I dare say, when people had half a dozen of these bottles in the kitchen and they were using them, the stoppers would get mixed up. But on this occasion, this company, which we haven't seen before, W. Ganson and Co. of Hove Edge, Lightcliffe, that has got this insignia on the bottle and it matches on the top. There we are, we've got a matching top there that says that it's from Lightcliffe and that it's Ganston's, and it's got the G in the centre as the bottle left. So that was a match. So I brought that one home as well. And the question is with regards to these stoppers. Because the stoppers made in that process, which we call vulcanized stoppers, they came in and began to replace the wooden stoppers in 1844, because wooden stoppers did not work as effectively because they tended to absorb the liquid and distort. They were invented by a famous tyre manufacturer. So this vulcanized stopper came out of the same brain and idea as rubber pneumatic tyres, which makes sense. But I want to know which of the manufacturers it was that brought out the vulcanized stopper in 1844. Was it A. Giovanni Pirelli? Was it B. John Dunlop? Or was it C. Charles Goodyear? Go! So who do you think? Mr. Pirelli? That would be A. Mr. Dunlop would be B. And Mr. Goodyear would be C. Ooh, I wonder which one you'll go for. One of them, I'm sure they all got into it eventually, but one of them had the breakthrough of thinking, hang on a minute, we could make stoppers to go in bottles. And when you think about it, they're a throwaway item. But the bottles and the industry was in its hundreds of millions. So having come up with a good replacement and solved some of the problems that was created by using other means, it was going to be a guaranteed millionaire status. So quite a clever move by one of them. But was it A. Pirelli, B. Dunlop, or C. Goodyear? Well, let's have a look. We got a lot of answers. Oh, we seem to have a fairly even split between, we've got a couple of A's, but a lot have gone C and a lot have gone A. Well, I can tell you, and I'm going to double check here. Now then, I'm getting confused now. Right, I was just checking because I could see Lexi had written something, but Lexi had put Michelin question mark, Goodyear question mark. So I looked down and I can see that Lexi then made a decision and put in an answer later. So I didn't want to miss you again, Lexi. I'll be ruining your birthday. Okay, so we'll go down and we'll start with Mike Sage as the first of the answers to come in. And actually, Mike isn't only the first answer to come in, but he's the first correct answer because it was Charles Goodyear. So there we go. Mike, you've got a gold podium. Followed by Bonnie Tyler fan 34, who has got the silver podium. And then we've got to come down a bit because we've got a lot of B's to Sharon Paget, who starts a launch of C's because Sharon, you pipped to the post Lexi B and Linda Peterson and Ribble Finds and Crafts and Anne Goodwin, all of whom put C, but you were the first one. So top of the tree we've got Mike Sage, second we've got Bonnie Tyler fan, and then we've got Sharon Paget. That's our first, second and third. Yeah, it was Mr. Goodyear. Mr. Goodyear came out with the idea of using the vulcanized rubber that they were making the tyres with to make stoppers for bottles. And where would we be if he hadn't done that? Because one of the things we do find quite a joy in finding is the vulcanized stoppers, because they contain so much information there on the top, and they rarely degrade because of what they're made of. They sit there in the ground, and unless they've been physically damaged, which can happen, usually you can read all the information very clearly as you can on that one. It's, you know, when you think that that's been in the ground for, I don't know, 60 years, 70 years, and look at that, it's as clear as ever. And that's what I love about it. It's easier to read that than the glass, because the glass becomes distorted and discoloured. But there we go. Thank you, Mr. Goodyear. Another thing we found was this, which was a cracker of insulator. Very pleased with that. Very pleased indeed. We've got an insulator up on the shelf there. That was one of our better ones up until now, and I think this one might pip the post, because I think that's among the best of the insulators that we have found thus far. Inside you can see the twist where it could be screwed on to the pylon, put on, screw down, and then the wire could run around these grooves here. So we found the insulator. We also picked up one of these, because I just can't not pick them up. It's just the way I am. And we also have Caroline's little piggy, who was cleaned up rather smart, I think. Look at that. Isn't that a cute little pig? And this cute little pig, when cleaned up, revealed the fact something is written on his back. Can you see it there? There's writing on his back. And it actually says, scratch my back. Scratch my back. Which is a clue to what this is. Because this would have held matches. And if you have a look around here, there's the striker on the back of the pig. So we have the matches here. You take them out, you strike them on there to light the fire. So you have this on your mantelpiece as a little ornament with your matches and your striker ready to light the fire in the morning. Back in the days when we had our coal fires. So there we go. That's a bit of an interesting one. Yeah, Rich Ray said to hold matches. Absolutely. Yeah, and as I say, I was quite pleased when I cleaned it and saw that, because I saw this here and I thought, oh, that looks like as if it's part of what it was meant to be as I was cleaning it, you know. And then I read the top, and then it all fell into place. It all started to make sense. But I do have a question to go with the piggy. So let's have another question. Right then, folks. When Caroline found her piggy, she made reference to the rhyme, Old MacDonald had a farm. Where is it believed that that rhyme originated? It is believed to have originated in 1706. But in 1706, the original version of Old MacDonald's Farm, was it A, in a book, B, in an opera, or C, in a folk song? Go. Right then, what are you thinking? Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Obviously, we're not talking about the version that was sort of brought to us in the 20th century, because it had got refined over time, but they've gone back and they believe that the probable origin, that's what it said in the article I was reading, the probability is that it originated in 1706. I want to know, was that original piece taken from a book, A, from an opera, B, from a folk song, C. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, well, we've got quite a few answers in. Ah, right. Okay. Well, it may be a surprise to some, but not to all, because we've had quite a number of correct answers. It was actually in an opera by a guy called Thomas Dufay, and his opera that was made in 1706 contained a piece in the opera which is believed to be the root of the nursery rhyme Old MacDonald Had a Farm. So we're looking for opera, which is B. And wow, Mike, you've done it again. You've come in second, but with the correct answer, because you're the second answer on the list, but you've got a gold podium. Well done, Mike Sage. You are really flying tonight. So that's our first correct answer, but then I can see our second correct answer is just below. It's Bonnie Tyler fan again. Excellent. Bonnie Tyler fan, you're having a good evening. You've got B, and then we've got Mr. Ed Creative, the man with the spanner. You've got B as well. So there's our top 3 opera buffs. Mike Sage, Bonnie Tyler fan 34, and Ed Creative. And there were several other Bs. Rachel Bailey went B. Rufus went B. I do. Rufus also went A. And also went C. Rufus, you're doing it again, isn't it? You went, Rufus was C, A, B. You are correct. And who else went B? And Jen W wrote opera. So there we are. We were confident of their answer. So lots of people got the correct answer there. Excellent. I thought it was a bit of an unusual one. That's why I thought I'd put it in. Because if you didn't know it, now you know an interesting fact. That Old MacDonald Had a Farm, it appears, began in an opera back in 1706. Okay, folks, the night is gone. We had a late start, so we've got a late finish. We've run through just to show you that I've not been able to clean it as much as I hoped, because that oil in there is treacherous. It got on my hands and I couldn't clean it off. And of course, it's not good stuff to get on your hands either. So I've got to get some gloves on and get some detergent and give that a good clean. But I was thrilled to get this, because as many of you will know, there's a video out there where I had found a larger version of this, just the neck sticking out of the ground as we walked along a path on our way to a dump. And I pulled it out of the ground. It became the prize of my collection. And then I met a lovely young man called Oliver and gave it to him as a gift. And now both Oliver and I have a bottle each with the Esso Lube. Identical bottles, only his is slightly larger. But that's a lovely, neat bottle. So that came back with us as well. And I was very pleased with that. But we do have to ask, how many times did you see Mankey appear in this week's video? Go! Oh, I'm waiting for the numbers to come in. What numbers are going to come in? How many times did you see Mankey appear in this week's video? Anybody going to have a guess? What are you going to go for? Has anybody been counting? Oh, there we go. There we go. We've got a couple of answers coming in. We've got a couple of answers coming in. Any more for any more? Oh, seems to be a consensus around one particular number at the moment. Is that number correct? That is the question. Couple of variations on it. Any more going to go for it? No, we've got quite a few answers in. I'm just working my way down them now to see. Okay. This one. I won't even try. I never get it right. Well, there was a dubious, questionable, possible that having watched the video several times, because even I have to go through the video a number of times to try and get as accurate an answer as I can, and without any contradiction this week from my usual partner in crime who does the counting as well, the official answer for this week is 3. So, Sharon Paget, you've got gold on the monkey question. Tina Thompson, you've got silver on the monkey question. And then after Tina, Ian Davis, you tried to catch me out. I nearly gave it to Mike, but I'm sorry, Mike. Ian pipped you to the post and he wrote 3 with 2 R's. Now you're really trying to catch me out with me dyslexia. So there we go. Ian, you take that podium place as well. But everybody's done well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Reminder, UK, I know in the UK, I don't know where anywhere else, our clocks are going forward. So it's now going to have to go to 11:05 for me from 10:05. Also to say, it's been wonderful to see you. By the time we're back again at the end of the next month, when we come back on the last weekend of April, everyone will have celebrated Easter. So we wish you all every blessing at this Easter time, and trust that you have a wonderful time with your family, with your friends, and we look forward to being with you again. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making this something that happens. And until the next time, don't forget, have fun. Bye.